Hi, I'm Priscilla O'Brien from InspectRealEstate, and today I'm speaking with Deniz Yusuf from BDM Coach.
Hi everyone.
Hey Deniz, thank you for joining me today. Today I wanted to get some insights from Deniz about business development, rent roll growth, and how to be proactive in today's market. Deniz, my first question, which I've been...
We're going to go straight into it.
We are. I've always wanted to ask you this question. Every time I see you at an event, I try and stop you and ask you this question, but BDM Coach, how did you come up with the name?
It's a really good question, and it just happens to be we're actually at the person's business that actually did name BDM Coach, Priscilla.
Really?
Yes, we are. So, and I've heard that Andrew has named quite a few businesses. I wasn't the first.
He definitely has. I didn't know that he'd named yours though.
Yes.
Tell me a bit about it.
So, I was actually contemplating leaving the industry. I worked for a private entity, Integrity Real Estate, on the south coast of New South Wales. I'd met Andrew at a conference, and he was somebody that obviously saw some value in me. I don't know what it was, and he would ring me once, twice a week, once every 3 weeks, depending. And so I actually shared with him, look, I've lost my drive. I'm walking into a house. I'm just getting the listing.
Yeah, right.
I think I'd like to come and work for you and sell your product, because I was such a believer of IRE. I just loved the product. When I first saw the demonstration at an LPMA event, Andrew and Mike were on the stand in Melbourne, and he showed me the demo, and straight away I went, why haven't we got this in our office? I looked at my boss standing there, and I said, why haven't we got this yet? I can win so much business with this product. So I was instantly in love with it. And so I actually then met Andrew. I picked him up at the airport. He was going to Sydney, because Andrew used to go around from office to office doing demonstrations.
Yeah, he did. In the early days, before we had this incredible office and huge team.
Which it is.
A two-man band, Mike and Andrew.
Yep, that's right. And his dad helped as well.
Yeah,
John did some work as well. Yep, excellent. So I'd met with a couple other people about potentially doing some work for them, and nothing was sitting right. So Andrew and I drove him around for a couple of days in Sydney. We got lost a couple of times as well, as you do. Just because I live near Sydney doesn't mean I know all the streets.
Yeah, so when I'm driving with Andrew, I purposely get lost, because the talk time in the car is so valuable.
It is.
Yeah, 100%.
It is very valuable. And so we actually wrote a bit of a business plan down, and and I wanted to sit on it for a while. And a couple of months later, I rang him up. I actually rang Andrew before I rang my wife, and I said, Andrew, I've quit my job. I'm coming to list 200 real estate offices for you, blah, blah, blah. And he hung up, and then I rang my wife and told her as well. Now, to this day, I don't know if my wife knows I rang Andrew first.
She does now.
I then... I was literally walking home a couple of hours later, and Andrew rings me as I was walking in. He said, Deniz, have you checked your emails? I said, I'm literally just walking in my house now, Andrew. And I got in, and I was sitting down with my wife explaining why I'd quit and etc. And she was really understanding. I mean, of course.
Not freaking out?
No, because I mean, she was quite open to me. We'd been talking about our future and me possibly selling IRE or even consulting. Mm-hmm. And Andrew rings me again and says, have you checked your email? So when you get a phone call from Andrew twice in 5-10 minutes, you know that you've got to go check your emails.
Yeah,
so I checked my emails, and he had screenshot bdmcoach.com.au, and bdmcoach.com is available. So
amazing.
He rings me again, have you purchased the business names yet? Deniz, I'm not ready for you to come in and sign up 200 real estate offices. I'm very capable, but it was more that back end.
Yeah, excellent.
So within 48 hours, I had business cards, a website, and BDM Coach was alive.
5 years later, here you are.
Yeah, almost 5 years.
Yeah,
it's very
awesome.
close. So Andrew's got a lot to be very thankful. I'm very thankful to Andrew.
Yeah, I could imagine that there would be a lot of business plans out there that Andrew has helped write with lots of people. in the industry. It'd be interesting to do a poll of just how many are out there.
I've still got that business plan of us sitting at Darling Harbour at the restaurant, and which we also sang happy birthday to his daughter and got the whole staff to sing happy birthday as well.
Hannah,
Yeah, she was about to go overseas at the time. So Andrew, it would be good to run a poll of the way the guy's brain
well, I know
thinks.
I've got a business plan that Andrew helped me write when Pro Rentals was selling, when Andrew decided to sell his 100% property management business.
Yep.
I'd been with him for nearly 9 years, and he said, you need to go out on your own, you need to start your own agency, and we wrote a business plan together. And I still actually have mine.
Yours as well.
Yeah.
We could probably frame them all.
Yeah.
And maybe put them up in his wall.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. So I'm a business development manager, day one. What does my day look like? What do I do? Give us some advice for the new people in the industry.
Yep.
That have potentially not come from real estate or aren't sure where to begin, and maybe don't have a mentor in their office. Like I had Andrew in my office at Pro Rentals.
Yep.
What do we do? Yep.
First thing to do is obviously look at your relationships. You need to really sit down and establish yourself within your office. So, I like to think as those networks within your office. Who are your BDMs that are working in the office? I'm talking about the salespeople.
Yep.
So go out, introduce yourself to the salespeople, have a talk to them about what they're giving clients, what's the materials like. And really look within first. That's the first thing to do. You're not going to be expected to list 5, 6, or even 1 management in the first day. So you really need to look at having a look at what product you've actually got to give. And you need to learn your systems and procedures in the office.
Yeah, because essentially you're selling the business as much as you're selling yourself.
Yep.
And understanding the business and who's in it, then you can have those conversations with potential new landlords, about the history of the business, who's in it, those sorts of things.
You need to have confidence in what you've got to sell. It's like look, you're wearing a maroon shirt. So let's talk about Queensland, okay? I'm from New South Wales. Okay, so Andrew, I apologise about talking about New South Wales when we're talking about for InspectRealEstate. So, but if you were to start talking about football, about Queensland, you could just rave on, right? You know. But if I said to you, I want you to explain to me why I should support New South Wales, you're going to struggle.
Definitely.
I'll be able to tell in your
100%.
tone. Your tone changes. So you really need to, be selling it from the heart. So you need to know your systems and your procedures because you're a salesperson.
Yeah.
So
and you need to have that belief in the product as well.
Absolutely.
And you can't have the belief, I guess, if you don't know anything about. So yeah, fantastic tip.
So build relationships.
Yep.
Have a look at what you guys, what your office has got to offer, and then check what your rivals are doing as well. So you know what your points of differences are.
Yep.
So you need to know where you're sitting in the marketplace, what you've got to offer that is better than your rivals. And then you've got to start building a database, start looking at who you need to call. Probably easiest thing to do is have a look at all of your current clients that you've got and call and introduce yourself to those people and, get to know the scripts that you've got to use with your current clients because it's not cold calling.
It's interesting that you mentioned that actually. When I was growing my portfolio for Andrew at Pro Rentals, I had fantastic growth for about 12 months and then I got to about my 13th month and I wasn't putting on as many as what I usually would. And I went to Andrew and I said, Andrew, I'm stuck. Like, what do I do? Like, I need, I haven't put on what I normally do. Give me some advice. And he said, Sil, all of your current landlords, there's 150 of them. Give them a call. You've got a great relationship with all of them. Give them a call and ask them the question, do you have any other investment properties that I'm not currently managing? And I said to Andrew, it's really interesting. Do you think I'll get many from that? And he's like, do it and let's see. And I was a bit skeptical. I was thinking, nah, they would have given them to me by now. Like, they all love me. I do a great job. I'm, busy season. I'm in the office until midnight.
Yep.
I thought, no, I'm not going to get much out of this. And I went to 242 managements really quickly just from landlord referrals of their own properties.
Another 30% added to your, so it is interesting because you do say that, they would have, but you'd never asked.
Exactly. I'd never even thought to ask. Yeah. So the amount of principals that say to me every single day, Priscilla, what do I do? How did you grow? How did you grow yours to that many properties? That's the first thing I say is
Can I ask you a question? Can you give us a script as an example? So I'm turning the tables here now.
Yeah, you are. So now I'm the interviewee, not the interviewer.
I apologise. It's just the natural education coach coming out of me. But what's an example script that you actually did when you called these people?
Yeah.
So what did you say?
The advice that I give principals and to give to their team is not call them straight away. Make sure that you have that relationship. I was really confident that I had that relationship already with my landlords, so it's making sure that they're confident with that as well. So doing happy calls in hi dear landlord, just giving you a call to let you know your lease doesn't end until February next year. Your current tenants are paid up till next 2 weeks. We're going to be doing a routine inspection in a month's time. Did you want to come to it? Yes, no, great, no worries. Bye. And do a few of those good news calls over a couple of months, and then on the 3rd month, call and ask the question. Because you've built the relationship better, you know that it's stable, and that they're going to be receptive to your call, and then hopefully give you any business that you're potentially not already managing.
Yeah, which is really good. So the approach that I do is quite similar to what you did, Priscilla, so that's really good. So it's calling and asking the owners how their experience is going. So if you're a pure BDM, you're not actually managing a portfolio like you were, so you had to take a different, process. So, I would call one of our property managers and say, look, I'd like to go through your portfolio and give them all a call. And then I'd give them a call and just simply saying, hi, it's Dennis here. I nearly said from BDM Coach. From,
from Pro Rentals.
From Pro Rentals. Just giving you a call to see how things are going. It's simply a customer service call. Just wanted to see that you're happy with the progress. How's your experience going?
Yeah.
So
and I think when people are doing this, they've got to be prepared that the call's maybe not going to go great.
Yep.
And you need to be prepared for that as well.
So that's where you can ask them, look, and it's really important if you're going to be making these calls, make sure that you speak to, the portfolio manager or the property manager that's in charge. Which one should I not call? Who can I call first? Who's, whatever the case is. So, you can establish that. But making these calls, you're talking about the experience they're having. If you know that they're happy with the rents they're getting, so, how's it going? So obviously, I see that your property rented in really good time. So you've got to get them into that yes mode.
Yeah.
And then it's simply about asking them, have you got anyone else that would like to receive the same experience as you, or have you got another investment property I can help you with?
Yeah, great.
So, because if you don't also ask them if they've got a property, then you're only asking about their friends.
Correct.
Okay, so it's like when you go into the house, I used to struggle asking for the listing when I first started. I wasn't trained. It was like,
really?
Yeah, here's your agency agreement, Dennis, go out and get the management. So, because nobody likes to be turned down. It's just inbuilt in us. We don't like the no, So I got turned down a lot for the dances at the schools. I was too scared to ask, But, we are scared to be turned down. So I used to do a nice presentation and try and create the best experience for my clients and be their friends.
Yeah.
And I would hope that they would call me back.
Yeah, right.
Okay, which is how it was just inbuilt, because that's what my the property manager that did it before me. So simply, then I used to get challenged by Andrew as well. One thing he educated me on is call it an authorisation form, not an agency agreement.
Yeah.
So all these softer words, it was a more gentle approach, giving a better experience for clients.
Yeah, and asking for the business at the end.
Yeah, and simply ask them, because if you don't ask, you don't know.
Correct, yeah. I learned how to do a listing presentation by doing role plays in a cafe next door to Pro Rentals in Toowong with Andrew. So we would sit every single day for a month and do role plays. So he would pretend to be a landlord and I would have to try and win the business. So, what's your advice for business development managers that are out there that potentially don't have, that type of mentor in their office?
Practice on their partner.
Yeah.
Practice on their boss. There's other people in the office that you can do that to. Sit with them and go through it and make the time. One thing that I did personally myself is I used to record myself on the phone when I was talking to a client.
Right.
So back then, it was when iPhone was around. It would just come out, and I used to use the record, and then I would sit there and think, would I list to myself? and I found out I was talking too much.
Yeah,
And I wasn't asking enough questions, so which was really good, because it's about, if you can ascertain what the client's problems are, you know, what their hot points are. So simple question, my favourite question was, you know, what concerns do you have about renting your home out, Priscilla? You're then going to say,
I'm really worried about the mining industry, and that, you know, the market in Rockhampton is not fantastic. Am I going to achieve the price to cover my mortgage? How do I do that? What do I need to do to the property? You know, they're my concerns, is topping up my mortgage.
Topping up the mortgage, so which is a big concern. So basically what Priscilla's telling me is her concern is the bottom line. She's not talking about the property sitting vacant for too long. She's not talking about a bad tenant. She's not talking about, you know, tenant damage. It's basically bottom line.
So you'd be picking up straight away that I'm not emotionally attached to the property, that it's a business.
It's a business transaction that you're after.
Yeah. So do you have to handle the landlords differently from when they are emotionally attached to the property compared to myself as an investor?
Yeah, there's definitely different personality traits that you need to. You also need to be wary of those touchy-feely landlords. You know, I made the mistake once of saying, "Don't worry about that tree in the backyard that your great-grandfather planted." You know, I should have been wary of that when they came to the first routine inspection, and there was a bike leaning up against the little tree. You know, so you've got to be wary, and you've got to watch for those things. There's different approaches for business people, a different approach from a mum and dad moving out of the home where their kids were born, or someone who's just renovated the property. Yeah,
definitely. I think what really helped me when I was trying to grow my portfolio for Andrew was I would go straight in with the comment, I want to manage your investment. I know I'm the best person to manage your property. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It can be.
Obviously, I'd say hello first and greet them.
Build your rapport.
Build the rapport, but not for long. I'd do it for about 3 minutes and...
Yep. So but you're also, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're showing your confidence. You knew your worth. You knew you're working for Pro Rentals. You knew you were the best property manager for this client, and you wanted to help them, and you were showing them that. So if you do know your worth, that's 80%. I mean, that's a figure I'm throwing out in the air. You know, you're going to gain their trust a lot more. They're going to feel more comfortable in you. You've just then told the person why they need to support Queensland. Okay, you've just gone bang. So I don't have any problem with that approach.
Have I made you switch teams yet?
No. No, not at all. I haven't had a good year of sport this year. All my teams have lost, except Sydney FC.
Maybe 2018 will be a better year for you for that then. So speaking of the future, I want to find out from you, where do you think technology is going to go for our industry with rent roll growth in the future?
I think that we're already on the forefront of technology with regards to rent roll growth. IRE BDM has got to be one of the most fantastic and amazing products that is around. So for technology, just in that product alone, how it just catches the data, to me, we're already there.
Yeah, wow.
You know, the technology is there. It's just absolutely phenomenal. As a BDM, I'd like to get back to the beginning of this question, because I've got a few things I could answer. But as a BDM, before InspectRealEstate was around, I was a little bit cheeky, and I used to go into the back end of realestate.com.
I don't think you're alone there, though.
Now I'm not. Now I'm not. But when I was doing it in 2011, I think I was. And I can't say that, but I did go into the back end of realestate.com, and I asked questions. Where are the inquiries going from? How does realestate.com know to send it to the salespeople? Because one day the emails had stuffed up in our office, and all of the sales emails distributed to the whole office. I don't know if it was our server or if it was REA. And I saw these inquiries about people asking about rent returns, and the salespeople weren't coming asking me for advice. So then I started asking questions, and then so what I did is I just put a comma and put my email address through all of the sections of all the profiles for each sales agent.
To capture that.
So I was capturing the data.
Awesome.
Okay, and I was watching all of the questions coming in, and I was just reading the comments.
Yeah.
And I would call the people and just say, hey, I'm not from the sales department. My name is Deniz. I'm
That's
from
fantastic.
the property management division, and I noticed you asked me a question about investment returns. That's my specialty. That's where I can help. I can even help on returns. Doesn't matter who you buy off. So I was doing that manually. You know, got into trouble because sometimes I would call the person before the sales agent, so we had to learn a process as well.
Yeah. Whereas IRE, BDM, you don't have that issue.
Not at all. It does it. So there's now a product that does that. So I can easily say that I listed over 700 managements in 3 years doing that.
Wow.
So that's what I call it the investor support service. So I got sick and tired of calling in a landlord, Priscilla, you know, that may have inquired about a service and they about one of our properties, and they didn't buy it. And I'd ring them up after a couple of weeks. Oh, I purchased it off ABC Realty down the road, so I gave them the management.
Yeah, right.
Did my head in.
So this is exactly how I grew my portfolio before, because I didn't have, obviously, IRE, BDM back then for pro rentals. So, and we were 100% property management business, so I didn't have a sales team either, so I didn't have that feed.
So how did you get your sales leads?
So I used to go and meet other real estate agents in the area. Mostly I would target the ones that didn't have property management, but I would also target the ones that did have property management. And I would say, hey, XYZ, you know, Bill, the real estate agent, I can see you've got all of these listings on REA. Can you flag to me which ones are geared towards investors? I'd love to provide a free rental appraisal for you. And Bill, the sales agent, would say, oh no, Priscilla, you know, we've got our own property management team. When I sell this property, that's going to them. And I would say, that's cool, but do you realise that, you know, your rental appraisal through your agency that you've already got for this property, potential buyers are seeing it as a bias appraisal. So I would love to give you one from myself.
You've just taught me something.
Well, oh, thank you.
That's a really good approach.
So, because what I thought was, okay, well, yeah, that's fine. That property that you sell, Bill, 100% will not touch that investor. That will go to your property management team. And they would say, well, what do you want? And I would say, glad you asked. I want to come to all of your open homes on a Saturday, and I want to meet the 15 other investors that are coming through the door, because they're going to buy a property. And you can only sell your property to one person, and your property management team's going to get that. And
so
I'd
they can
remind
take that
them,
management.
and I'd say, I want to meet everyone else coming through. And then I would keep it in an Excel spreadsheet, do my follow-up, engage, create rapport, ask them their buying time frame. It might be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. If it was 12 months, I wouldn't care. I would know in 12 months' time my future growth projection was XYZ.
Yep.
So, because of that.
So can I ask, because I'm always training people on, you know, like a sales agent might not be happy with their property management division. So you need to go and ask them the question. If they're not comfortable with who their clients are going to go to, at least they've got you as a second option.
Yeah.
But you, in saying, you know, that's a biased opinion, you want to give them a second opinion as well. That's like a landlord asking for 3 quotes.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
Well,
and they're already,
like seriously?
They're already,
that's awesome.
And they already have that mentality, and they're not silly. Like, investors are not silly, landlords are not silly. Like, we're talking about lots of money that they're putting towards these properties. They are educated.
Oh, absolutely. So let's strip it back. So we were doing it manually. So I was going to home opens, auctions, and all of that as well. And I do have that. I've got some quite in-depth training that I do on that. I've actually got a free plug for Deniz here, a masterclass event. I'm going to do a 3-hour training session on the Gold Coast in November in a few weeks' time, purely on the investor support service.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, but that, which is absolutely amazing. But I want to bring it back to your question. So we were doing it manually. Now IRE, just for listeners out there, I don't know if you don't have Inspect Real Estate, you're missing out on all of these potential leads. And what I also love about what Inspect Real Estate does is I was reading the comments. Okay, so I had to go through every single sale inquiry, and at one stage we had 12 sales agents. So that's a lot of inquiry on properties. What Inspect Real Estate does, it actually scrapes the data if they ask a question. Which
it picks up those keywords.
Yep.
You know, what is the expected rental return? You know, and it flags
what
to the
will
BDM
it rent
system.
for? You can choose the words. You guys have got the ones, but you can add words.
Yep.
And also when we were BDMs, there was no drop-down option that realestate.com gave saying I'm an investor or first home buyer.
Yep.
Now there is, so it
Yep.
also captures that.
Yep.
And then they get a notification as well.
I know,
it's nuts.
If I have had IRE BDM today, like if I rang Andrew now and resigned as the National Sales Manager of Inspect Real Estate, I would sign up with IRE BDM and I'd grow a rent roll really, really quickly, and I'd grow that asset base.
And it tells you when you've got to follow them up.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a no-brainer. So how big was your spreadsheet?
Huge. And I'm terrible at follow-up, admin things. However, I was hungry to grow.
Well, you're sales-based. So most sales-based people, we're bad with our
100%.
paperwork.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will not get a photo of my desk. But
Yeah.
that's cool. So look, technology, let's go back. Where do we see technology going for new business? Social media. I have to talk about social media, and I have to also integrate IRE BDM here as well, because people don't realise the power of social media. We all understand Facebook's really big, but you can actually upload your entire database into the back end of Facebook. So I only can imagine how many leads you guys have got as a company. But for somebody like myself, for a real estate agent, what they can do, they could actually, even if they don't have a BDM, they should use IRE BDM to capture all of these potential landlord leads, okay, the investor leads, and you can just put those investor leads into the back end of Facebook and create a list in the back end of Facebook and call them potential investors.
Yeah. And it's not difficult either.
You can target an ad to them, a Facebook ad. So you could actually do a video. It could be you, Priscilla, saying, hi, I'm Priscilla from, Pro Rentals. I'm the investor support specialist. If you're looking to buy an investment property, this is where I can help you. You don't just take the advice of a salesperson. Their job is to sell a property. Doesn't matter who you buy off, we can give you the key advice. And that video could be targeted to them.
Yeah.
And I think using
videos,
Facebook and IRE together is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think videos are definitely the way to go as well. Majority of people are visual people, and I know as an investor, I want to see who's managing my property as well. So
I see that Inspect Real Estate are doing some videos. What we're doing now.
We are.
But even some of the ads that I saw James has been doing, which is fantastic as well. If you ever do a search on Google for something, and I'm going to relate this back to new business as well, so it's a tip for people. If you want to learn how to, I've got 3 daughters, right? Okay, so I'll bring it to them, and they might do a search for how to put mascara on.
How old are your daughters?
I've got one turning 18 on Australia Day in a couple of months. One's 15 and one just turned 9.
Excellent.
Yeah. So if they did a search for how to put mascara up, you're going to get all of these websites come up. The website with the video is going to be at the top, okay, if it's not an ad.
Right.
Because video optimization is 40 times stronger than a blog. And someone is more likely to watch a video for 2 minutes than to read instructions.
Yeah.
How can you do that for new business? So you talked about, you mentioned about video is powerful. It's more engaging, okay, and it's really important to engage with your clients.
And the search optimization, it's at
good
the
for your
top.
search SEO.
Yeah.
So people, you need to get a YouTube channel, and you need to do videos on how to employ the service as a property manager. Why should I have a property manager? How to transfer your management, how much rent I can get. So you need to be giving these instructions on. Yeah,
and educating your future landlord.
So even why should I live in, where are we?
Brisbane.
No.
Indooroopilly.
Indooroopilly, that's what I was like, I know we're in Brisbane, I just flew here. Why should I live here? So, because if someone's doing a Google search, if they're looking to move to Brisbane or they're looking to move to Redcliffe, I mean, Damien Misso has done this video for professionals in Redcliffe, and it's him doing a video saying why it's so good, and he's even got a couple of other business owners that are interviewed in it. And the great thing is it then looks as him as being that expert in the area.
Yeah, great.
You know, so look.
Great tip for BDMs to be doing that as well, though.
Business owners, BDMs, whatever the case.
Yep.
So, and put it on social media as well. So IRE BDM, let's bring it back. So the technology for IRE BDM for new business growth is phenomenal. Even if you don't have a BDM, you should be using it to capture that data. And the newsletters.
I
newsletters,
know.
sorry.
So everyone talks about, I know we at Pro Rentals talked about writing newsletters. Some of us did it, some of us didn't do it. And it's time consuming.
My newsletters was, I'd find an article somewhere and I would send an email to my individual lists. So Priscilla, if you're a potential landlord, I'd be sending, hi Priscilla, I hope that things are going well. I know your property's not ready yet, but I found this article, I thought it might be of interest for you, right? And it would be, you know, whether it's about tax depreciation or whatever the case, and I'd send it to you. Now, you guys have got articles that a BDM doesn't have to waste their time and look for.
Yeah, and all agent branded, really professional. And what I love about it and what I talk to business owners about when I'm showing IRE BDM newsletters is it's educating future landlords. So if you get a future landlord on that's pre-educated from the newsletters, they're easier for your property management team to hopefully manage.
Yep.
So if they have a few key things they already know about from reading the articles, but also it's giving it's adding value to your leads out there, but it's also creating that trust and belief that they have in you as the preferred person to look after their investment.
How are you becoming the market leader if you're not going to be sending out a newsletter? And how many of you guys got? I think it's 50. There's more coming.
Yeah, there's about 2 years worth if you send, or 18 months worth if you send them bi-monthly.
So one a month.
2 a month.
2 a month,
yeah.
even. Okay, so, and I'm going to ask you a question now. New Zealand clients, have you got New Zealand land newsletters as well?
We don't have New Zealand specific for legislation, but we do have New Zealand newsletters.
So preparing your home, etc. You've got, but okay. So, but are New Zealand ones coming?
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic, which is great.
We've got a growing client base in New Zealand, which is fantastic, and a team over there as well. So.
Okay. The reason why I asked that is I've got a couple of clients that I do train, or a few clients I train in New Zealand, and they asked, and my advice back was contact your, your provider, your rep from InspectRealEstate, but I said, let's go in and have a look. And I found 4 or 5 straight away that you could easily just send.
Yeah, definitely.
So
and you can select what you do and don't send.
Yep.
So if you're, if you're an on-site manager and you don't have landlords that, have swimming pools, or you can take out those ones, or if you're trying to target complexes around you or whatever it might look like, you can unselect the ones that you want. You can change the order around. So if it's spring and you're sending the newsletters about winter, obviously you're not going to be wanting to send the winter newsletters.
Yeah.
So it's fully customizable as well, and all agent branded, which is fantastic.
Great. So when you were going through your spreadsheet of people and you had things to send out, how did you report that back to Andrew? So how did you report your new business and things?
The end of month, the numbers.
Okay.
Numbers don't lie. So at the end of the month, it was always a competition in our office who could win the most amount of managements in the month, because you would...
So there was incentive to get the most managements?
There was. So we would win David Jones or Coles My gift card, which was really cool. We had lots of prizes at end of month at Pro Rentals. We had prizes for business development. We had prizes for the lowest arrears list.
I like that one.
Yeah, I used to love winning that one.
Because that's a good one to use when pitching for the business if you've got really good arrears. So we used to have a competition for arrears as well, which is great.
So we would keep in our listing kits our current arrears list to be able to show to future landlords, well, I not only manage your property, but this is what I'm currently doing. This is my performance.
Okay, so if I can go back to the report that you had, how did you report back to Andrew about what you had listed? So you had to fill in a report and stuff to submit to him and that?
Yeah, so we had new business or new listings reports that we would share. And they evolved over time. It was very manual.
Yeah, so
Very
now,
manual.
but with IRE BDM, so I've turned the interview, right?
I know, you have. I'm on the spot.
I do apologise. So Inspect Real Estate, where I'm going, guys, is see how she started dragging her words out. Oh, well, you know, we had these forms, it was very manual. IRE has a form that prints out for you, so you don't actually have to do work. It even tells you how many, so any principals, bosses out there, it'll tell you how many leads came in. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
It'll tell you how many appointments have been done.
Yep, 100%.
It'll tell me how many, you know, if you've done a thank you letter, to where the process is, and even how many are signed, and the dollar value that's been won and lost.
Yep. And the thing that I love most about it, from being a BDM myself, is it creates that transparency within my role.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of the month and saying, okay, well, I only listed 3 new potential landlords and these are my reasons, and not feeling like your business owner is understanding that, you know, everything that you're going through. With IRE BDM, they can see how many leads have come in,
through.
what your activity's been, and, you know, where you might need help. So if you've got, Andrew actually said to me yesterday, there's 2 problems, or there's 2 items. So not having enough leads or not being able to convert. So IRE BDM.
We've been trained by the same person.
We have, yeah, I know. It's
so
really
I've actually
funny.
got a video on my YouTube channel. You've either got a problem with there's not a, you know, it's lead generating or it's conversion, right?
Yeah.
So if the transparency is a really, really good word, because IRE BDM sends out these reports to a principal. Okay, you can have it sent out so the principal can look at the report, and there's your accountability. And the reason why I want to bring this up, one of the big things that I have people say to me, Dennis, is I want accountability. Okay, so yeah, I train and I put accountability and I give them tasks and things to do, but that report, when it says overdue phone calls, if a principal's to walk into an office of a property manager or BDM and say, what's going on here, why, what's going on, there's a report that puts that accountability on for them.
Yeah.
You know? And
it's interesting the amount of principals that, you know, have the overhead or have put in a BDM and have that expense in their business, but then A, don't give them the tools to grow their portfolio or to grow the business, and B, have really no idea what they're essentially doing. BDM, you know, it gives that access.
Can we also talk about the added value that you guys have got? You guys have got the ideal listing kits within IRE BDM. So if you're using IRE BDM, there's even a video of Andrew and myself pitching for the business to a real investor.
Yeah.
You guys have got tools for them to help their business growth, including flyers that can be printed out and made to their office and stuff. You've got to look like the market leader. You've got to have the right materials in your book. And that's why when you first asked me, Priscilla, about, you know, what should you do, look at the sales marketing, go back and look at what you've got as well.
Yeah, so being professional in that.
Absolutely.
Well. So that's a good segue into my next question is, you know, building a perfect BDM, what do they look like? What skills do they have?
Not like this. Look, you've got to be sales driven. You're talking about how successful that you were, being transparent, and you know, the competitions and the, you know, you were obviously very sales driven. Okay, I was very sales driven as well.
And it's funny, I didn't recognise myself back then as a salesperson. I had the opportunity early on in my career to go into residential sales. I was working for Ray White New Farm, and Kevin Turner was the principal there, and he was saying you need to become a salesperson, and I was like, oh no, you know, that's not me.
Because you didn't know your worth.
Exactly.
Yeah, so so to me, you've got to be sales driven. So a property manager can sell, and a property manager, they are so good at negotiating, they just don't realise it. So I used to say that a property manager doesn't make the ideal BDM, but you know, I challenged myself on this, but you have to turn that sales hat on when that inquiry comes in.
Yep.
Okay, you've got to be on. Yep, you've got to be on the ball. You've got to drop everything that's in the head, and you've got to be thinking, how am I going to get, you know, build rapport with this person right now, and then get to that appointment, get into the door. And it's like a leasing agent. It's the same process. A potential tenant rings up, and they are a salesperson to get the potential tenant. You need to come to my property. Don't worry about, you know, ABC Realty down the road. So because the processes are very similar. So it's very sales based. And so what you're doing, you're actually negotiating with the person and convincing them to let you come into the property, or you're educating them that they need to allow you to come into the property. And when you get to the property, you build your rapport again, you ask your listening questions, and you are negotiating with them why they need to list with you. Okay, if you don't get the signature, you'll then go back home or to the office. It can be your second home, and then you fill in your contact management system, your IRE BDM, and then you do your follow-up and you're calling again. It's sales based, right? Now, I'm going to say to a lot of property managers say to me that they can't be a BDM, but they can, and I'm going to show you how now. A property manager, their job is, there is so much negotiating involved in property management. This is a fantastic tip to actually win more business when an owner wants to ask for, you to match the fees down with the agent down the road. It's, well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I understand that ABC Realty down the road have offered you a reduction in the fees. Firstly, we're not going to reduce our level of service. Okay, like what they're doing. Now, what I'd like to ask you, when a tenant rings up, okay, and they call us, our job is to negotiate with that tenant why they've got to come and see our property rather than the other agency that you're talking about. And then when we get, we want our property to be filled quicker because we're really good at negotiating with prospective tenants. Plus, we have an online 24-hour booking system. Okay, threw that one in for you guys. Then the next process is when we're at the property, we're really good at negotiating with them why they need to apply for this property rather than the other agency down the road. And then when you approve the tenant, we're then negotiating with them why they need to sign that lease earlier because you want this property filled quicker because you've already told me your bottom line is about that return. So my job is to fill your property as quickly as I can, and I know that we've got the right systems and negotiating skills to do that. And then when we do get the tenant in and they ring us up and say, oh, my partner bought me a dog that I didn't know about, our job is into that negotiating again, or it's negotiating of getting the tenants to pay their rent. And that's why 99.8% of our tenants are paying the rent, because we have good systems in place. So a property manager does negotiate. How many times did you negotiate to get the tradesperson to your house quicker?
100%.
Or negotiate to the owner not to kick the tenant out, or
or negotiate to the owner to get the tenant out to put the rent up,
etc., etc. So sales driven, ideally. So, having the right incentives in place for that person. So to me, the ideal BDM is a sales driven BDM.
And incentives obviously really important.
Look, there's some offices that I do train, they don't actually have incentives in place to reach bonuses, if that's what you're talking about, but they are paid a percentage of, let's say, the annual fee that it's bringing in. So rather than a bonus for the property, it works on the annual. I like a tiered structured system personally. I was actually on a bonus for every 15 properties. It's
So if you didn't hit that 15th property?
I did hit the 15. But when I look at what people I'm training, what they get paid compared to me, sorry, boss, if you're listening in on this, but wow.
So it's interesting that you talk about a percentage because that's exactly what Andrew created at Pro Rental. So we were growth portfolio managers. So we listed new business and we managed the investment property for the landlord as well. And we were paid 30% of the management fee that came into the business.
That's right. When I went to masterclass, I learnt. And that's actually when I learnt, wow, I'm not getting paid enough. Okay, that's when I went, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And that's what happens when you go to training. But I just want to bring up that tiered structure because I think it's a good structure because there's a lot of BDMs I see that they hit their number and they stop. And they build it up for the next month. But I like to have a look at getting tiered structures that I've put in place with some offices. So it might be every second property, it just goes up a little bit, so that, but the whole bonus structure goes up. So I'll use a percentage, like you might get 2% of the annual income for the first property, 3% for the second, and so on. By the time you get to 10 managements, you might be on 20% for the whole lot. So
it's a good way to look at it too.
So it's, I mean, I did Amway as well, so I know what pyramid selling's like. But
I'm learning a lot about you today. Amway, Andrew gave you your BDM coach name, and also I saw earlier that you were actually a fruiterer.
I was. Yeah, how'd you know that?
In another life.
Yes, so fruit and veggies was what I did before I even fell into real estate. Yeah, so just like I fell into consulting, I fell into real estate as well. So sold our business and I was jobless and homeless because I'd leased my property out privately And
why did you make that decision?
you know what? The good thing about me making that mistake, because it cost me over $13,500. It was a mistake. We locked them in for 2 years. We were going overseas for a couple of years, my wife and I, and a friend of ours said, Dennis, you need to tell your wife to wee on a stick before you get on a plane. We had just sold our business, moved out, etc., and we didn't see the signs. And my wife was pregnant with Madeline, and by all means, no mistake.
Yeah.
You know, she's an absolutely beautiful blessing to our family, and I wouldn't be here today if we didn't have Madeline.
Yeah.
So I did do it privately, and then I had to ring up Peter Russell, who was my neighbour at the time, and say, dude, I need to rent a house.
So tell me about that process of you then having to become a tenant and finding a property.
Well, that's why I'm in real estate, because it sucked. It really did.
Really?
It was yeah. So I rang him and he said, Dennis, whatever property you want, you know.
How many did you look at?
3.
Yep.
I wanted to look at more, and that's the whole story, right?
Yep.
So actually, it was only 2 we looked at. Drove past a few more. I rang and they said, look, we've got a new property here. And I said, okay. So we went to the property, I got my wife, my kids, and we were the only ones there. And the girl was there early. And she was on her phone when we got there. And I said, oh, you know, at first it was like we were late, but we were early. So I just went, oh, okay, maybe I got the times mixed up. Cutting a long story short, we got in there and I started asking her questions about the property, and she said, oh, just ring me tomorrow. Ring me tomorrow.
Oh, okay, so you had an awful experience.
Yeah, so ring me tomorrow. And it was pretty frustrating. What's the rent? When's the carpet going to go in? So when will it be available? And it kept on ring me tomorrow, ring me tomorrow. And so I rang Pete up and I said, Pete, if you ever came into one of my fruit markets, because fruit and veggie still, right? And you saw one of my staff, you know, doing something wrong, I would hope you would call and let me know so I could rectify the issue.
Yep.
And he said, what's the problem? Tell me. And I said, well, look, this is what happened. And he said, if you think you can do a better job, come do it yourself. And he hung up on me.
So you did.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, right.
So a little bit more to it than that as well. And so the experience wasn't the best. And, you know, looking at properties, not being able to see them, etc.
It was really difficult.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know, and then ringing, waiting for them to ring you back for appointments, etc. And and you know, when she wasn't ringing me back, I would ring him, and I was annoying him, saying, Pete, I want to have a look at that. Well, didn't you look at it? Yeah, but I want to look at this other one.
Yeah. So there was a need back then for something to assist you in trying to find a property.
Yep, 2008.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, back in 2008.
So great segue into the gift I'm about to give you.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So this is for you, Dennis. This is one of our new T-shirts.
Doesn't have Queenslander on it, does it?
No, it doesn't. It has Tenant App on the front, if everyone can see that. So this is for you, to thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Speaking with me today. So Tenant App is a new product by InspectRealEstate. It's going to be released in the App Store in 2 weeks' time. Yep, there it is. And everything that you experience in trying to find a property to rent is exactly what Tenant App is going to help for tenants within the industry. So we're really excited, we're really pumped about this app being released in a couple of weeks' time to help and assist tenants in finding their perfect home.
Excellent. So that's going to be integrated straight into IRE.
Correct.
Ah, wow. So the tenants are actually doing all the data entry for you as well.
Yeah, so it's going to help tenants as well in finding properties, in working out which inspections that they need to go to, any inspections that they don't know about. It's going to show up and quickly show them that they can put it into their schedule, and it's really going to help with that. I know when I was looking for a property to rent, my husband and I were trying to liaise between which ones to go to, and we'd have it in our Outlook calendar and we'd have it written on a piece of paper, and my husband's hopeless with stuff like that. So we were mixing up times and it was really stressful.
So it's going to speed up the process even more of filling properties, right?
Correct.
So there's another new business tip for, that's
We're very
excellent.
excited about it. So Deniz, you are obviously a fantastic BDM coach. If people want to engage your services, how do they get in touch with you?
I've actually created a special for everyone today that's listening.
Awesome.
One of the things that I'm doing is I've actually got two companies. So there's bdmcoach.com.au as well as inspiredgrowthtraining.com. So Inspired Growth Training is all of my events that
awesome.
I've just partnered with Darren Hunter in doing
Awesome.
and we're doing a 40 webinar series called Inject Growth Series. So we are 5 in. I did a webinar yesterday. We've got over 137 officers on board with that, which is absolutely so exciting and excellent. So I rang Darren this morning and said, Darren, I was at the airport and I said, I need to create a special so I can give out back to the IRE clients as well. So if anyone wants to, if they're serious about growing their rent roll growth, even it doesn't have to be a principal. Anyone can fork out $83 a month, right? So if you pay up front, it's less than $83. Or if you want to pay it off, $99. If you can't negotiate with your boss on how to get $99 a month for a 40 webinar series event that occurs on Thursdays, then you really do need to join the webinar, right?
I was just thinking that.
You really do need to do it. So $99 a month, it's nuts, right?
Yeah.
So if anyone's going to do that, so Darren and I have come to agreement. So we're actually going to give away our Geared for Growth recording session that we did. So Darren and I had a sold out series that you guys sponsored, and where we went around Australia, New Zealand, and we had 2 in Brisbane, which is where we are. So that value is $299. So there's 4 audio recordings, slides, and the PDFs of the notes and stuff that we're going to get, plus the recordings of how you can do that entry data of social media that we were talking about earlier. So you'll get that for free if you order and join today. Okay,
Excellent.
so you have to go to the inspiredgrowthtraining.com website. Simply click on the training section, okay? And then if you purchase that, enter the code Geared for Growth, okay? So if you enter that in, you'll get that recording for free.
Awesome. So we'll actually post that information on how you get access to that on our Facebook page later on today, so that if anyone missed that, they can go there to find that as well. So thank you so much for joining me today.
At all. Yeah.
It was awesome.
It's been great. It's always good coming into the office. There's always so many changes every time I come
I know. We're growing incredibly, so it's fantastic. But
no doubt. And another new item
I know.
Come on board.
I'm pretty excited about Tenant App because I said before I've recently had to try and find a property to rent, and it was really frustrating. It was really stressful. And it's been 15 years since I've been on that side of the fence. My husband and I had moved back to Brisbane and we wanted to rent vest for 2 years. And yeah, it was frustrating. So when Andrew told me the idea about Tenant App, what he was working on, I was like, this is incredible. It's giving back to, the industry. It's helping tenants as well. So it's fantastic. We're very excited about it. So.
Excellent. Look, I've always been a added lover of IRE. Like I said, I actually wanted to be a rep for Inspect Real Estate, but at the time Andrew wouldn't let me, and he fed me out here. So to me, it's always been easy to sell Inspect Real Estate. Used it to easily can say in my last year when I listed over 300 managements that having Inspect Real Estate as a product on our tenancy side helped me win the business as well. It's a great tool to win for BDMs out there. If they need scripts and dialogues training on that, they can give me a call as well.
Awesome.
But look, it's a fantastic product. You guys are going leaps and bounds. To me, you have revolutionised real estate in today's society in the last 10 years. I don't know of anything else that's come on board, and it doesn't surprise me that there's something new. And no doubt with Andrew and Mike, the way their heads think,
I know,
there's going to be a few more things coming.
I think it's really important that the products are being developed by people that have been in the industry and that have had their own property management or real estate offices. It's the ideas that come out of Andrew and Mike is just incredible.
Yep, excellent.
Cool. Well, thank you, everyone. If anyone would like a demonstration of any of our products, simply text BDM to 0427 476 332. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you very much.